Queensland election is being held in exactly 5 months, where the Labor government is attempting to win a fourth term. Cost of living, housing affordability, health and crime are some of the key issues on the agenda for the state government and opposition. I spoke to the state's opposition leader, David Crisafulli, and started by asking him about the launch of his North Queensland election campaign earlier today.
There was a great mood, Hortensia, and this region is a wonderful region here, North Queensland, but they deserve a lot better than what they're getting. And to see so many people coming forward and being part of the change that's needed, Queenslanders need to know there is a better way, but we've got to vote for change. And the opportunity to do that is 5 months away today. We remain the underdogs. History is against us, but we're united, we're focused, and there is a better way for Queenslanders. And North Queensland is a really important part of that.
As you've mentioned, the election is 5 months away and your party has a few key issues you're focusing your campaign on. So they're cost of living, housing affordability, health and crime. So let's go through these, starting with cost of living.
Well, it's a pretty simple question, and that is after 10 years of the Labor Party and looking for a fourth term or 14 years in office, Queenslanders have to ask themselves, are things better or worse when it comes to youth crime, health, housing and cost of living? And you mentioned cost of living, and I look at something like electricity. In the last 12 months, Queensland's had a 19.9% rise in power prices. That's 3 times the national average. Now, what's unique to Queensland? Well, our major power generation source, the Callide Power Station, has been offline for over 1,000 days, and the government can't tell us when it's going to come back online. And as a result, Queenslanders are paying record amounts for their electricity. I look at insurance and I see the rise of youth crime. That has a direct impact on how much people pay for their insurance. Right across the board, Queenslanders are genuinely struggling, and we continue to put forward solutions to those challenges. So we will implement a maintenance guarantee to keep those power plants on. We are determined to drive down youth crime so people can afford their insurance. We want to deliver affordable water to help people on farms produce the kind of produce that we need in our supermarkets. We have the plans that Queenslanders need, and Queenslanders never need change more than it needs it now.
Queenslanders, they've received a $1,000 energy rebate from July 1. This coincides with the $300 federal rebate. But is this enough?
Yeah, Hortensia, we'll never stand in the way of cost of living relief for people who are really doing it tough. We never will. I just want Queenslanders to understand, though, we're also committed to dealing with the structural issues that are putting that upward pressure. The reason why electricity has had a massive spike in Queensland is because the government has been unable to keep our major power generation assets on. We are determined to deliver a maintenance guarantee. And when I look at those challenges and I see the pressure that Queenslanders are under, I want Queenslanders to know we are serious about delivering affordable, reliable and sustainable electricity. And after a decade of failures in this space, I just don't believe the government can credibly say they can do the same.
Now, Queensland's $350 million fund launched for new Queensland housing as well. The fund is to fast-track infill development. Where do you stand on this?
Well, 3 years ago, the state government announced a $2 billion housing investment fund, and it's delivered 0 new homes. 0 in 3 years. So you can understand why Queenslanders are deeply sceptical. I've got a vision to see Queensland go from last when it comes to home ownership to first in the next decade. I want young people to be able to aspire their own home. I want Queenslanders who are vulnerable to have a roof over their head. And our plan involves infrastructure partnerships to open up new land opportunities to get people in the market, to stop that feeding frenzy that we're seeing at the bottom end of the housing market. I want to welcome the community housing sector back to Queensland. We're the only state where community housing has gone backwards in the last 10 years. And when it comes to social housing, I don't want to just make announcements like the government has. I want to make sure when we say we're going to do something that there's KPIs set, and those houses have to be delivered.
Lastly, opinion polls have your party as the firm favourite to take out this election in October. What can you promise the people of Queensland if you become the state's next Premier?
Well, Tanzia, they're not the numbers that drive me, and opinion polls are something the Labor Party's obsessed with. I'm not, and we remain the underdogs despite what people say about those political polls. And the numbers that drive me are things like 45.5%, that's the ambulance ramping in Queensland, 43,074, that's the number of Queenslanders on the social housing waiting list, the 19.9% rise in electricity. They're the numbers that drive me. The numbers of victims in this state, the repeat offenders that have gone from 10 to 20%. That's my focus, not on polling numbers. And I want Queenslanders to know if government changes in October that there is a better way, and they'll get a government that is focused on dealing with the youth crime crisis, the health crisis, the housing crisis and the cost of living crisis. We're serious about delivering water to provide agriculture the opportunity. I want the mining industry to be free from a government that's constantly looking to find new ways to tax and regulate them. I want to welcome people who want to come to this state for education and medicinal research. I want Queensland to be the hub for our nation. When people look for opportunities, they look to Queensland. That's my vision for the state. The government at the moment is at war with themselves. They're just trying to do and say anything in the shadows of the election. I just want Queenslanders to know we're serious about them. We've listened. We are hungry to serve them, and we want Queenslanders to know that if they vote for change in October, there's a better way for this great state.
David Crisafulli, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Hortensia.